Hey guys, this is Hunter Levine, and thank you for checking out the Captain's Collective podcast, brought to you by Skinny Water Culture, Turtle Box Audio, Costa Sunglasses, Florida Fishing Products, and Orvis Fly Fishing. Today we have a special podcast that was recorded live at our recent Redfish Camp. In this podcast, we sit down with the guide team, share some laughs, and talk about what the weekend looked like. We're excited to share more in the coming weeks about what it looks like for you to get involved in upcoming camps and trips. And we hope this podcast gets you excited about everything we have in store. And hopefully you learn a few things too. Thank you guys for listening. We hope you enjoy. This is the Captain's Collective. All right. Well, hey, we're here live at Redfish Camp 2024, and I'm hanging out with the amazing guide team and some of the clients here in Steinhatchee, Florida, post-hurricane. So luckily, last minute, we were able to make a couple adjustments and still have an awesome weekend here. If everybody just take a moment on the guide team to introduce yourself. We'll start with Jay over here.
Jay Carson, own Plug and Fly Charters. Live in Perry, Florida. Guide in this area. So, Josh. It's you, Josh.
I'm Josh Wells. I run Wells Guide Service. I guide mostly from Panacea towards the Carabel area. I'm an out-of-towner. I'm thankful they let me come and join.
Also, one of the original people who helped me start the podcast.
I'm Justin Anderson. I'm with Historic Coast Outfitters over in St. Augustine. Been fishing over here for quite a few years. Glad to come over and help out.
I'm Evan Snow. Fish out of Keaton Beach, Florida. And I just want to add, I think it's a mistake that Josh doesn't have a hot mic the whole time. You know, we got to let him roll tonight.
Let me cook, baby.
Yeah, that was a very strategic decision. I've known Josh for about 20 years now, and you got to be careful with who you give a microphone for the whole time around a campfire.
Absolutely.
So we're
Not a
wrapping
good
up.
move.
We're wrapping up this weekend, and we've had a couple days here on the water. And it's a really fun event because a lot of times when you go out with a guide, whether you are the guide or you're the client, you get 8 hours on the boat maybe, and then you drop them off at the ramp at 4 o'clock, and then it's kind of maybe pick you up next day or see you next year, or hopefully you work on your casting. But from a guide perspective, how does being in an environment like Redfish Camp, where it's really kind of one of those types of environments where you really immerse, it's an immersive experience where, you know, from the moment you wake up in the morning and you're having a breakfast burrito and talking with everybody about the game plan for the day to winding down over a bottle of whiskey. Evan found, what'd you say, 15 bottles after all the wreckage in the storm?
Yeah, we don't have an exact count, but it's kind of amazing the stuff that we did find in the house. You know, it's the whole house, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of glass bottles that survived.
Yeah, we've been giving Evan a hard time because he's real modest and doesn't want to talk about everything that he's had to go through the past couple weeks with losing his house. And so now we just introduce Evan to everybody at the gas station and everywhere else as the guy who lost his house. You probably heard by now. But he was able to find some whiskey bottles.
I think it was on the news, right? You lost your house a couple
my
times.
identity at this point.
A couple news program or news broadcasts later. And
yeah, a couple weeks ago, me and Jay and Evan were 2 miles west of here, and I saw somebody I knew on the beach. I introduced Evan as my buddy who lost his house. But no, it's been a good time to be able to come here. And I mean, even everywhere around the camp is there's still lots of debris along the road. There's lots of damage that the clients have been able to see just how impacted this area was. 20-foot storm surge, and then you go out on the flats, and it's like so untouched. It's beautiful out there.
it is very nice. It's really kind of come together here last week or so. It took a while for things to kind of settle down, I feel like, and fish to kind of fall into a pattern. But it really came together just in time for our camp here, for Redfish Camp.
I would love for one of the guides to speak to, from a guide standpoint. Obviously, when you have a wife, you have kids, you have things like that, responsibilities, you can't just hang out with every client all day, every day. But when you come into an environment like this, I'd love for you all to just talk about from the guide's perspective, how an environment like this allows you to be able to better work with them and help them grow as an angler.
Ev, why don't you start?
Well, it is a kind of a unique environment. You know, as a guide, a lot of the people you fish with at this point are people you're familiar with, and when they show up in the morning, you kind of know what your day is going to look like. You know what they expect from you. You know what to expect from them. And in this environment, you know, we're fishing and meeting a lot of people for the first time. But, you know, we get to talk through the night before or the morning before, you know, as we're getting ready, we get to talk about what we're going to do, what they expect out of the day, what they want to see. And that's a really cool aspect of it, too, other than just sharing stories and stuff, recapping afterwards. But, you know, just, you know, we got here Thursday night and the guys that were on my boat the next day, we got to talk through the night before, like what they prefer to do. You know, they want to fly cast, do they want to spin, do they want to do this, do they want to do that? That's a cool aspect of it.
I think it's also interesting too, because like you see how expectations change from one day to the next based off the fishing or what, you know, what's working, what's not working. Maybe some general areas that are more productive than others, and you kind of have a plan to start with, and it's like any guided trip. You have a plan to start with, but when you're with a group of guys over several days, you can see how, you know, we go through the decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis, and how we maybe modify our original plan to you know, put people on fish, but also, you know, have people be successful as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think another thing too with these trips is the vibe's a little different than just an average, you know, your daily client, because you're coming in, it's a getaway, it's more of a checkout. They're just, you know, removing themselves from their daily life, so they're more relaxed, not so much pressure when you go out with a guide for a day. Obviously, every day you want to catch fish, but when you know you got some guys for a couple of days and you can try out a few different things, show them different parts of the fishery, it's a more laid-back atmosphere as far as the clients. There's not as much pressure on them to go out in that 8 hours and know, okay, we have to just catch as many fish as we can because we only have one day. So I think it eases everybody and allows it to be a little bit more relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah, we were doing some interviews earlier tonight, and we were talking to some of the clients about what did they love about the weekend, and a word that kept coming up over and over is camaraderie. And a lot of people, you know, there's all sorts of places that you can go and chase redfish, but when you come to an environment like this where you're sharing meals together and you're watching football together and you're sitting at a fire and you get all these shared spaces, you can really begin to see people open up. And it's a really diverse group. I think our youngest is 21, our oldest, you know, I didn't ask, but I'm going to guess around 70, and, you know, maybe 60s. And, you know, it's one of those things that I feel like, you know, where else would people come together like this and be able to learn from each other, from business to life to marriage to kids to just, I've heard so many different conversations over the course of the weekend, and everybody warms up, and every guide will tell you that their best clients are ones that they have a comfortable relationship with.
Absolutely.
You know, and seeing those jitters
yeah.
go out. I think Josh day one might have stole the show. Josh, give us a little rundown. Just not any specifics, no dark magic, but give us a little rundown, because Josh, there's always that guide that's gonna, you know, mess the curve up like that kid in school.
Well, I'll start it with this. Thanks to Captain Evan Snow, we found some fish, and him and Jay have both been super great to me as far as coming over here and, you know, helping them out with group trips and whatever, show me around. This is obviously, you know, pretty far away from where I normally would fish, and they've been nothing but open arms as far as, you know, places to stay and, you know, helping me around the water and, you know, where to run, where not to run. So me and Evan found some fish on Thursday, and Evan, being the astute fatherly figure that he is, he said, I'm going to do the right thing and let you have them tomorrow. And yeah, they were there. You know, they were there. It was probably one of the best days of red fishing I've ever had. You know, as far as, you know, spin, fly, whatever, we wrecked them. You know, I don't want to sound crazy, but we straight up wrecked them. They were just there. And we had a great day. We were doubling up. I broke the golden rule of guiding, and we had a double going, and they were still floating, and I grabbed a spin rod and we tripled. I apologized after the fact. I'm sorry, Vince and Duncan. I will say Vince did offer to pull me some, but it was sometimes it's just too a little too crazy to say no to. But yeah, we had a great day, man. I mean, we had fish floating. We had a couple tailing early. We were struggling, but we knew we had that spot on the certain tide, and they were there, and it was awesome. I mean, when you get a guy and you pull up and there's wads of fish, and get somebody to stick one on fly, and you got a guy that's not so experienced on fly and just wants to spin, and he can throw in there and catch one too. It's great.
Well, I was going to say, he's being really humble and modest with the start there, and then he finished with that. So I guess that went out the window. But I just kind of suggested some areas. But yeah, he found those fish. It wasn't. I wasn't showing him around. He was going around and poking around. I was just kind of sitting back and letting him do his thing.
Well, and it's kind of been a scramble here because we've had such a limited access to water here in the last few weeks because of the hurricane. We really kind of had to scramble in the last week just to try to put some, good fish together for this trip. And fortunately, they were out. On Thursday, I was able to get out as well, and we were all able to find decent fish to put these guys on for this camp, and so it's been good.
Yeah, I think talking to clients, everybody got the opportunity to, catch fish and see a lot of different scenarios. And one of the things that I love about this type of setting, and one of the things I'm excited to do more with the Fish Club, is be able to go to spaces that don't have a lot of infrastructure and bring the infrastructure to them. So, whether we're coming in and doing pizza night and firing up pizza ovens, or doing breakfast tacos, or doing steaks on the grill, when you come down here, you're pretty limited with the amount of infrastructure you have when it comes to entertaining clients with food and all of that, especially before or after the hurricane. Especially after the hurricane, it made an area that I love it, and I think it's really quiet, and it's a really great place, but it can make it challenging if your clients, you can't just drop people off at 4 p.m. and just say, all right, go have fun, knock yourself out. And so I think it's really cool to be able to have that hands-on time and approach, and also to be able to bring a lodge environment of sorts to an area that is, when you get on the water here, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely just pristine turtle grass and all sorts of just cool creeks and rocks and oyster bars, and
it's such a contrast.
Yeah, there's a lot here, and I mean, obviously today's Saturday, so there's a little bit more people on the water, but there's plenty of times where you go out there and for 2 hours you can forget that other humans exist other than the people on your boat. I mean, Evan, talk to me about what you love about this area and why you get excited when we have clients from Memphis, Atlanta, Alabama, I mean, coming in and getting a chance to see this place that so often can get overlooked.
Well, it's cool. It's my home, and I'm proud of it. And I think we have a really awesome fishery, and it doesn't get not that being exposed is probably a good thing, but to people who fish with me, it's good to expose them to it. And it's just, there's a lot of opportunities here that traditionally haven't been explored, I would say, in the history of the fishery here. And it's just, there's a lot of untapped potential here, and we're trying to get into that as much as we can.
We also tried to, when we were putting together the camp, try to put as much money local as possible. So our keg is from Civic Brewery, which is over by me, local fish dip from Mineral Springs, and trying to buy groceries locally, and just trying to do everything we can because Perry, you guys lost your mill, last year, Jay? Is that right?
Yeah, in the last 12 months it closed down, yeah.
So
I think it was November 1st.
Yeah, it was a year ago.
About a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah, a year ago today. And so, I think like this area, with scallop season, it's really well known. And if you drive through here during scallop season, there's a lot of people buzzing around. But, it's an area that, on one hand, you never want to overuse something or burn an area, but at the same time too, there's lots of good folks that live down here and work down here, and if people are going to come down here and respect the resource and hire local guides and eat at local restaurants and do things, then it's a positive for the community. And it's really neat just to see, hanging out with Evan and Jay over the past 6 years, just y'all's love for an area that I think in communities like this, a lot of times it's all about getting out. You know, every kid with talent growing up here, it's all about how can I get somewhere bigger and better. And it's really neat to see you guys have such a local love for Perry and Taylor County and the surrounding areas, and to be able to have people come in from all across the Southeast and be able to experience that together is really fun. Y'all tell me what's y'all's. I'd love to hear everybody's favorite moment from the weekend. Whoever wants to start can roll off with that if somebody's got something in mind.
Man, I don't know that I have a favorite moment from the weekend. We've seen a bunch of cool stuff on the water. We've seen quite a few tailing fish, which is one of my favorite things to do. And as far as I don't know if I could pinpoint something, but it's just, I think for me it's just hanging out with everybody. You know, seeing Evan, we spend a ton of time together. Josh has been coming over. I've become really good friends with Justin over the last few years, and all of these guys that have participated in this camp, just hanging out and spending time on the water and spending time around this fire pit and eating meals. I think that's probably been my favorite moments from this whole weekend.
I mean, for me, it's obviously the camaraderie aspect of it is key. I mean, it's not. I feel like it's almost not like I'm guiding right now. Like it's just a bunch of friends that went on a trip to go catch redfish, and it's just been from the food and the hanging out and the fishing's been good. Everybody that's been on my boat has been great. Everybody gets along. We talk. There's been no dull moments.
It's okay, Josh. You can beat your chest and tell everybody that Vince had his best red fishing day ever with you. So that
I didn't say
that's
didn't
probably
say
the
it.
best moment, right?
I didn't say it. It was definitely a prime moment in my fishing career that I had Vince on my boat. That he throws lasers. I mean, just as far as favorite moments, I mean, we got a guy Duncan, and he's just rolling spoons and not saying a word on the boat, and all of a sudden you start hearing a drag scream, and you're like, golly, come on, bro, like say something, and he's just ripping lips all day. It's just been a good time, man. It's been such a it's honestly like these guys got together Thursday night, and it's been literally like a group of friends like I would have from high school. We've just been hanging out. It's literally like we got here, we had the schedule, just a group of friends to go catch fish, and it has not been work at all. It's been nothing but fun.
I think too, and I know not to bust anybody off, but I've heard several times, this weekend that was my best red fishing day ever. Mm-hmm. So, that's pretty cool when those are the cool moments that you kind of think about. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, for me, just like everyone else said, the camaraderie, the hangouts, all that's been great. But for me personally, I've had Bo and Bailey on my boat 2 days now, and it was like going out fishing with old friends. Like we clicked, started cutting up, and they were both newer to fly fishing. And I think for me personally, sometimes you kind of forget the beginning stages after you advance and get used to catching fish. And it was cool to see the fire in somebody new that's just figuring it out, wanting to get better, and working with them and watching just in a couple of days them progress. And Bailey, we hooked him up. His first redfish on fly, and I made a dumb error netting it and trying to stop it from going under the boat, and we lost it out of my hands. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. And so that was cool. Oh yeah, I had him all over me. He was around. It was a disaster. Looking back on it,
well, yeah. I mean, that's a caught fish. I think that's you didn't want to be hard on the fish and take any slime off him or anything. And that's
hey man, shit happens, right? So that, and then today Bo caught his personal best, redfish that he's caught, and just meeting these guys. But it was like we've been fishing for years together, and. That means a lot to me to have fun on the boat, because that's why I do this. I want to have a good time, enjoy what I do, and have people who really enjoy being on the boat. And this group that we've had, like all these guys, are just have been ecstatic, So it's been pretty cool to see that.
Yeah, my bad. It's just a very diverse group we have, and it's a bunch of like-minded individuals that have a common interest in spending time on the water and catching these fish. And whether it be, we got some young guys, we got some older guys, and whether they're fly fishing or spin fishing, and working through the logistics of that. Like if I have a spin guy and a fly guy on the boat, generally I'm going to fish those differently. But if you got them together, you're working through in your head what you're going to do. But as far as moments go, we've got to see some cool stuff. The first day we saw just a ton of fish, but they were really kind of uncooperative. And then we go back, today and we're doing some of the same stuff, and it's completely turned around. And we got there's just cool moments. We got fish floating around the boat, and we sight fished Rob sight fished a 24-inch trout today, which was cool. I was thinking about adding an amendment, calling it like
Don't tell Vince about that.
Redfish Camp, yeah.
Don't tell Vince about that big
there's
trout,
like
dude.
4 or 5 redfish that followed him like right up under the gunnel of the boat. That was cool. We saw a redfish shake a swim bait like a dog today and spit it out just to have another one, come and eat it. And that was just a lot of cool eats, as far as just individual moments and stuff like that. But yeah.
Why don't we make it specific? Like what was the coolest eat that you got? I feel like that might be some like.
Yeah.
I have a cool eat.
Go for it.
We had our man Duncan up there. We had some little peanut poons.
Where's Duncan at? Duncan needs to be here.
Duncan's
Where's
asleep,
Duncan?
Duncan goes to bed
Where's
early.
Duncan?
Duncan's already in bed,
Duncan's
unfortunately.
He's storing up for tomorrow. He's gonna let it rip.
Duncan's early to bed, early to rise.
So they've already just put the hammer down on some redfish, doubling up, and I've obviously already said that I broke the rule and tripled up one time. We got some fish up on a bar or like some sand, and we start seeing some little peanut poons slide by, and we get excited. So we're like, oh, we're not going to catch the redfish. We're going to go try to catch this poon, dude. So we change flies, and we see a poon, and something happens, and we can't get the fly to it. So we tell Duncan to throw to it, and Duncan throws a spoon in there, and just absolutely perfect. And he starts sliding the spoon through, and the poon just chases. I don't know how he didn't eat it. And a redfish came and just swiped the spoon away from the poon.
Yeah.
And you can't really complain about it because you're still catching fish, but that was pretty cool. Cool to see.
Mine was I think my favorite. I have 2 actually. The first day, Robert was on the bow of my boat, and we had fished a couple spots, and what tide had kind of come up a little bit, so the tails, they were still floating around, but tails weren't sticking up out of the water. But we were just floating around, and this fish was tailing in front of the boat, maybe like 10 feet off the boat. And he with his nose in the grass, and Robert pitched his soft plastic out there. First time, fish didn't see it. Second time, he pitches it. Fish comes up out of the grass, sees it immediately, and just houses it like 5 feet from the boat. It was a really nice fish, about a 26, 27-inch fish. That was probably my coolest bite from the weekend.
One of the things that I love about these environments too is, getting everybody comes back to the campsite and how did you do? How did you do? How did you do? A lot of times when you go, it's just you and a friend or just you solo with a guide. And then you go back and you tell your friends or, maybe you interact with, a couple people, but to have that camaraderie of sitting down and getting to hear about somebody catching their first fish on a fly or hearing about somebody getting a cool topwater eat or, seeing everybody get the chance to interact and fish with different people, fish with different guides, learn different techniques. I think that's one of the things that I love about just sitting back and hearing how everybody did. It's always one of my favorite things. I'm surprised Evan didn't say that his favorite part of camp was pizza night because he was a doubter and he became a believer.
The pizzas were fire.
The pizzas were really good.
Pizzas were really good.
Hunter told me originally we'll make some pizzas. I got some Stonefire grills or what are they?
It's it's got a pizza stone and then it's propane. It's an uni. Yeah, we had 2 of them.
Okay, yeah, but I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. But we were all hanging out, recapping the day yesterday, and having some adult beverages, and they're just dropping pizza just one after another. I don't know how many they cooked the other night, but one would come out and it'd be a pepperoni, then it'd be a meat lovers, then it'd be a balsamic chicken with white sauce, and it was just like, kind of like a tapas vibe. Like we were just kind of just munched them. They made the mistake of keep dropping the pizzas in front of the.
They did. They put where we were.
I don't know. I don't know if everybody else.
I do know that every pizza got
they
dropped.
were-
Evan
they
was
kept
grabbing a
disappearing.
slice off that sucker, son. He was upstairs on them pizzas, boy.
Yeah, I hammered the pizza for sure.
I think another thing that's fun, I'm curious to you guys, for obviously I know Jay and Evan get to spend a lot of time together, and then obviously I get to hang out with Josh, and Justin's in the mix and comes over here and fishes, and get a chance to go over there and hang out every once in a while on the East Coast. But from a guide perspective too, it's fun to get the chance to interact with each other. We've been helping each other with boat problems. So we've had
Thanks,
three
Dave.
three boat
Dave,
problems.
you are the man. Dave is the
Merritt
man.
comes through again.
Dave coming through.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, Dave. You're letting me use your skiff because my skiff is broken.
Yeah.
If it was not for you, I would not be able to guide today and tomorrow.
Yeah, so I mean, it's fun. It's fun from a guide camaraderie standpoint. Do y'all want to speak to that? I mean, maybe there's some guides listening to this that are, maybe feeling kind of isolated, because you can kind of get isolated outside of
I
you
feel
and
like
your clients.
you can get isolated. You get, I feel like some people can be so protective over the stuff that they found.
Mhm.
And Evan and I have a really good relationship in regards to that. I mean, we respect each other. Where like I went and found the fish that I'm fishing right now, he went and found the fish that he's fishing. But we both fish those spots. Like I fish where he's been fishing all the time, and he fishes where I've been fishing the last few days all the time. So it's not like we share information, and I think it's both helped us grow together as far as learning a more technical aspect of this fishery that we've been doing over the last 5 or 6 years.
Oh, the sharing of information definitely steepens the learning curve. for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you have two sets of eyes that are out there every day, and you can, not just talk about spots, but more how the intricacies of how those fish move across the spot, how the tide affects the fish in those spots, and that it just, you can take what you shared, and then maybe it apply to another place, or Evan and I spend a lot of time on the boat together, and we found a ton of stuff, or we've figured out a ton of stuff together, but we figure out a ton of stuff on our own, and I try to share that that stuff between the two of us as much as possible, because I feel like we both can benefit from it.
Well, what do you think the benefits? I'd love to hear from a guide perspective. Like, I know all four of you personally, and I know how much you guys love seeing clients grow in their journey as anglers, and them beginning to open up relationally. And I'm just curious, there's just so many things that people can do with their time and money. Why come to an environment like this? How do you feel like that helps an angler?
Are you talking about like the environment, the fishery itself, or
no,
just
I mean
the camp
like
environment?
Redfish Camp, like this type of kind of immersive experience.
I think you get so much more information. I just watched Evan have a conversation with Bailey right here, just going through in-depth details of what he was doing today, why he was doing it. And that's just the kind of information you don't get, in other types of settings. Because, you may explain to somebody or a client on the boat why we're fishing a certain spot, but, you really, it's like I was saying earlier, you go over that, and then you catch the fish, and then you're thinking about, as a guide, you're thinking, okay, where am I going next? I'm on these fish. I got to be here at a certain time, or a certain time in the tide. But when you get back, you can really get into the more detailed, get lost in the weeds, so to speak, of the technical aspects of why it is, where we fish, what we do, when we do it.
I think it's even more than just interacting with the guides. Like all these anglers that are here are all experienced fishermen that have their own unique history of fishing, whatever that may be. And especially for someone like Bailey here, who is our resident youngin on the weekend, but like some of these older guys who have done a ton of fishing and a lot of traveling, there's a lot of wisdom there to impart.
Absolutely.
And a lot of experiences to share, and a lot of advice to be had. And I think that's valuable too, just taking the guides out of the mix.
I think for me, and I could probably speak for Josh too, we're the newer guys here out of the group of the guides, and I think it's staying humble. And for me, I always immerse myself in whoever I can get around. that's been doing this for a while, I want to get around and learn. Iron sharpens iron, right? So keeping a humble attitude and getting around people that have been doing it longer than you, and even some of these anglers, like, yeah, I'm the guide, but I can learn something from them. They've been, some of these guys have been fishing longer than, I've been around, you know what I mean? So keeping that thought open and willing to learn from somebody, even newer guys, it doesn't matter. But for me, I just like coming over and getting around guys who've been doing it, watching how they operate, watching how they treat clients, in this environment, and I take note of those things. So for me, that's kind of helps me.
And just have a lot of respect for you coming over and helping, because it's not easy to come over and guide in a fishery you're not 100% familiar with. You've been over here a few times, you've fished with me a few times, but obviously you don't know it like Evan and I do, because we fish here every day. But to come over here and put some guys on some fish and have some good days.
Yeah, I think you and Josh have done really well. I mean, just for not be your quote unquote home waters.
Absolutely,
but you guys have
kudos
done a great
to you guys.
job being on fish and showing people a good time, and that's really what it's all
and
about.
I also think too that the reason that we brought you guys on is because of the personalities that you have and how laid back you are, and how I've seen both of you, how you interact with me, and I can imagine how you interact with clients on the boat. It's just, neither of you are like the over the top, oh, you didn't make a good cast, you got to do better than that. You're just like, all right, let's go find another one. Let's do it again. Let's try
Josh
again.
just smiles all the time.
Yeah.
Man. You blow a cast, you look back there and Josh just be smiling happy.
Hey man, at that point I did my part right. I'm just kidding. That was a bad joke. I'm sorry. I mean, even so, as far as the information, I just kind of going back a little bit, but the information sharing, in my mind, as a guide, our goal is to show people that are on our boat a good day. That's
that's what they're paying for.
Whether you're solo, whether you're doing a big group trip, if you can get in with a few of the local guides in your area, and even back home, I have 3 or 4 people that I talk to on an almost daily basis, especially if we're fishing a bunch. It does no one any good to, if you find fish and you got somebody that you're not fishing the next day, but you got a buddy that's got it the next day. It does nobody any good to hide that spot from them, or to hide that information, I should say. And, Jay and Evan have been above and beyond helpful as far as me and Justin go coming over here, from out of town. It's just, at the end of the day, the main goal is to show the people that we're fishing, that are coming to pay us money to take them and show them fish. At the end of the day, the goal is to show them fish and show them a good time. And it's just not a, I guess what I'm trying to say, it's just not, like I said, the goal is to show them fish and show them a good time. And if you're hiding stuff from people, or you're trying to be secretive, or that's my spot or whatever, that's just not, it doesn't help anybody in the long run. All it's doing is hurting the people that you're trying to get into your community and get the people that you're trying to get into your fishery. It's just hurting them in the long run. So
we know the potential this fishery has, and we want to make sure that everybody has the same experience in this fishery, to be able to to have that experience as well, and to see that potential of this fishery. And we wouldn't want to hold that back, especially for something like this.
I was thinking about what Josh said about the goal is to show them a good time, and it's kind of cool. Like when we came night one, my dad and his best friend, I call him Uncle Darren, my whole life they've been toting me around smallmouth fishing and creeks up in Tennessee, and duck hunting and doing all sorts of different things. And I mean, even when Josh and I started hunting and hanging out back when we were in high school, you realize when you're in an environment like this, if you were fortunate enough to have the upbringing that many of us had, just how much work goes into everything. And to be able to have my dad out here and my Uncle Darren out here to help night one get everything kind of rolling. And Josh and I were reminiscing a little bit, because I remember when we were in high school, we went to Tennessee, and this was back before Josh's dad had passed away, and got to, go duck hunting, and to see the sacrifices our dads made to give us that opportunity. And then in turn, when you come into an environment like this, you get the opportunity to guide beyond the boat, and it gives you an opportunity to try to help make sure, we want you to have a good experience. So if we can light a fire, if we can fix a a meal, if we can create an atmosphere where you get a chance to just experience some of what many of us were fortunate enough to grow up doing, and our dads and uncles and friends didn't do that because they were getting paid. They did that because they loved us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of an opportunity for us to create those special environments and hopefully create lifelong memories, which I feel like for me, this will definitely be a lifelong memory.
Oh, for sure. And I have to say you've done a great job as host of this, putting it together, and we've had to be, super flexible with the logistics of everything with the hurricane and everything like that. But I think you did a great job putting it together.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd second that. This has been a really good event. The food's been phenomenal. You've done awesome on that, Hunter. Everything's went really smooth. Everyone's had a good time. Everyone's been really laid back. I mean, you really couldn't ask for it to go any better.
Other than Josh's boat breaking down.
And my boat breaking down. and Justin's boat overheating because apparently in Jacksonville, you guys only have Spartina grass, I guess.
Yeah, we don't have just miles of floating grass. It just likes to be sucked up in your engine over there. So, but, I mean, all's well. We went on, caught fish, got back. Everyone's made it safe. So.
Yeah. And it's the first one, so we got a lot of good notes to I think make just to continue to make improvements. And the food part has been a really kind of unique opportunity to have different types of meals together. And it was funny, there was when some of the clients were showing up, somebody had recognized Josh from the early episodes, and Josh rode around with me when we first started the show. And it was funny because I remember one of the trips we made to the Keys, we couldn't afford a hotel room or any meals, so we went down there and we borrowed my wife's CRV, which at the time was the best vehicle amongst all of us to get down there. It was like a 2004. Hey, we let
Did y'all have
rip.
to sleep in the CRV, or did you find a spot?
No, I had a good friend.
Okay,
Shout
there you
out
go.
Wesley Berry. Met in fire school. His parents had a house in Alamorada to let us stay.
And we came a long way from,
Those
I
good old
remember
days.
driving down there. I remember driving down there and making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the CRV. And then, Bo Basso, we did an interview with him, and he bought us a hamburger, which had he not done that, we wouldn't have been able to afford to eat out at the time.
He took us fishing too.
Yeah, Josh
that
hooked
was
himself.
insane.
Josh hooked himself right in the butt on the
I
bonefish.
embarrassed myself insanely right in front of Bo Basso.
But it made you a better man because of it,
did.
I think.
It did.
And I think it's just fun to just see, all these different friendships and things over the years just kind of play out, and how much I've learned from each of you. And I'm excited to have an opportunity to do more of it and to be able to invite people into that. And so we're going to be announcing some upcoming stuff on a travel fish club that we're going to be starting that I'm really excited about, just to try to focus on the things that we talked about here, which is beyond the boat. I mean, we want to focus on the food, the atmosphere, the camaraderie, and focus on the little details, put together shirts and use different artists across the fishing community and be able to bring in different brands to showcase different products. And even the fun things, like, man, one of my favorite memories was just standing out on the road surrounded by debris trying to see who could hit a can, with the fly, which Justin thinks he won, but
I definitely won.
we have video
Everyone's
evidence.
seen it. I hit the can in 2 shots while y'all were out there just casting for minutes. I mean,
You hit the
when
can.
you got it, you got
That
it,
was-
dude.
I
That's all
don't
I
think,
can
did he
say.
hit the can?
It was like an
He didn't
inch
hit-
from the can.
Okay, so there's your first slice.
Yeah,
See,
but
because you didn't hit the can.
leader didn't even lay out. It fell from the sky.
I think it
from
bounced
heavens
over
like
there.
rain,
It
dude.
kind of bounced.
Hey,
the fly
laws,
hit.
laws don't
got a
care
good
who
kick.
tell them, fellas.
Little good kick to the right there. Courtesy kick, yeah.
I know the out-of-town guy came in and laid it out. It's hard to eat, but whatever,
I don't know if
man.
I'd call it a layout.
It got the job done. If it was a fish, it would have ate in the boat. Done. Y'all
But
call it what you want.
Those are the good moments of just doing casting games and having those fun environments. I'm grateful for you guys. You guys as a guide team have gone above and beyond, and I couldn't be more confident in a group of people as far as their social skills too.
Especially Josh. Have you seen the pictures?
Which
I heard he has some pictures.
some pictures of what? Josh got all sorts of pictures.
Josh,
Yeah,
do you want to
might
tell
be-
us about the pictures?
You might be opening up a can of worms there. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's a few pictures. I'm going to keep them on the down low because I still got another day to fish. So I'll share the pictures come Monday morning, maybe. Possibly.
Well, that's very mysterious, and if you're listening to this, you can go maybe see said pictures at Wells Guide Service on Instagram, maybe, or Big Daddy 44 on Snapchat.
Grinder.
And Josh, what's your foot finder again, Josh, or whatever it's called? But man, it's been good to hang out with you guys. Thank y'all for being a part of this. I look forward to doing more.
Absolutely, it's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of this whole thing. I think that what you got going is definitely something that people should want to be a part of. It's a very unique experience, and Hunter's a great host. He's a great. I know most people who know you probably only know you through your voice, and I think that once you're around Hunter, in this type of setting, he's a great guy, great host, and really can put a good trip together. So I would definitely recommend being a part of one of these in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a blast. Thank you for having me and allowing me to be a part of it. I agree with Jay. Everything you got going on is really, really cool. Concept behind it, bringing people together. That's really what this is all about. Like, we all love catching the fish, but this is what really matters, man. And this is what builds future relationships.
Well, thank you guys. And if you're interested in the Fish Club, we're going to be announcing it.
When is that? When are you dropping it?
We're announcing it at Marsh Fest.
Okay.
So we're planning on having that. What's that? November 8th, 9th? November 9th, next Saturday. So, well, that's when we're hoping to announce it. Who knows? But maybe I'll have to edit that out. It will be announced. We'll be announcing it in the future at a foreseeable time. But thank you guys. I'm excited for one more day on the water, and good to hang out with you guys. I'm grateful for your friendship.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Hunter.
All right.